Why don't you give me a sign?
This is Corinna Jane.
The leaves are trailing on that shore. It's not your problem, it's mine.
With her brand new single, Give Me a Sign.
While the world still spins,
As featured on BBC Introducing.
it's just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Why don't you give me a sign?
Corinna Jane, Give Me a Sign. Out now.
It's not your problem, it's mine.
I have to know your name.
It's Donna.
Hello, I'm Sophia Jessica, and welcome to the Fan Carpet.
If we go back to the beginning, was there a defining moment for you to get into the entertainment industry?
There was actually. I was 6 years old, and my mom was newly a single parent and finding a lot of free things for us to do because a part of the abuse was not only verbal, emotional, physical, but also financial. So we would do a lot of free things, and it really meant the world. And I look back on my childhood, and I'm super grateful for that. But we were at a theater show, and it was like a huge escape for what we were just going through. And I was always very empathetic to her and her situation, and just had a deep connection with her from the beginning. So I remember I was at that theater show, and I turned to her like during intermission and said, "That's what I want to do, and I'm going to buy you a gold house one day."
Right, cool. Did you manage to buy the house?
Not gold, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how well Donna Stronger Than Pretty does.
Yeah. All right, cool. So obviously this is based on true events that are very close to you. Why did you decide now was the time to tell this story?
I produced probably about 20 other projects at that point that all created awareness for other subjects like bullying and various diseases, survival stories. And I saw everybody else's, being on the other side of the camera, everybody else's strength. And it kind of propelled me to just write this journal entry. But it was in screenplay format because I've been an actor. I've been in the business since I'm 6 years old. Yeah, it was just from that moment that I started the process.
Okay, brilliant. And obviously, I'm guessing that you would have had to go through quite a lot of actresses to portray Donna. But what was it about Kate, specifically in the role of Donna, that made you realize that she was the perfect for the role?
Yeah, this is kind of a unique thing. So after we did the stage, after I wrote the first draft, I hired a co-writer, and she finessed it, and she's part of the WGA PAP branch, and she finessed it into a screenplay format because ultimately it was 150 pages at that point. And anyways, long story short with that, Pat and I did a casting for a stage reading. And that was about 8 years ago now. And Kate walked in. She actually was running late from another audition, so she was questioning if she should pop in or not. She hates being late. Thankfully, she did. And that was it. She walked in, and before she even auditioned, I knew that she was the role. I knew she could play Donna. She just carried the way her essence is. She carried herself, and her vibe is kind of the 70s as it is, and as you know, we started in the late 60s with film. So yeah, we kept her on board, and Nick, Anthony Fico, and a lot of the cast. was a part of this journey for 8 years. We went from the stage reading to creating the short film, which premiered at the Indie Lounge at Sundance Film Festival, and then went worldwide. That helped us create our partnership with the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and they became family. They really, you know, Kate read through my mother's journals during the filming. She slept in my mom's bed. My mom went to her parents' house at that point, gave up her bed, and Kate really walked every footstep, and you know, down to the laundromat that my mom used to go through. So it was really special that way, and not only created a time capsule kind of for the area and the locations, but obviously a legacy for my mom's life by and sharing with everybody that unfortunately she passed away on September 3rd of 2020. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So it happened really quick. On Mother's Day, May 11th, she was diagnosed, and then not even 4 months later, she had passed. So every day in the hospital for the last couple of weeks of her life, she knew distribution was coming, and we were getting some offers, and she was really excited. And she asked me every day, what's going on with the film. So she ultimately didn't make it to the distribution date, but it gave us a lot of extra time. This process gave us a lot of extra time together, and created a lot of good memories. So I'm just really grateful that it happened.
Yeah. And it's obviously tough to ask, but did your mother manage to watch the final version of the film?
She did, yeah. In February of 2020, she flew out to California, and we had our premiere in a theater, kind of right before the pandemic. So she got to see it there, and prior to that, we had some industry screenings at Guildhall in East Hampton. That was actually a sold-out event in partnership with the Retreat, which is a domestic violence organization. So she watched it with over 400 people in the audience there, and then my mom and I sat on a panel of a dozen survivors during the Q&A. So people got to ask her questions and me questions, and then of course the panel of other survivors that were up there.
Yeah, what's her reaction to the film? Because obviously it's got to be quite confronting to see your life up there on the big screen.
I think she was really proud. You know, I think she was a strong and determined woman, obviously, and I think a big part of her life was getting this story out there to help other people. And she, in her retirement, she didn't make it to her retirement date, but she was going to volunteer her time to help, and not only help through the film, because that's already happening now, but you know, answering phones and working at the shelter. That was really important to her.
Okay. Do you have any memories from filming that will stick with you throughout your career?
Yeah, going from director to having to play myself in the same in the same moment, like having to tackle such a huge job. And I actually don't encourage other filmmakers to do it. And I've watched people sabotage their projects by having to juggle. And but I was forced to, because it was a character match at that point. So I had to just jump in, exhausted and terrified and everything else, all the million emotions that I was going through, because it was, you know, we had over 200 actors in 50 locations. So by the time we got to my scene, there was little left of me. And then it was an emotional scene, because it was everything that I wanted to say to my dad, and maybe have said to him in different ways, but It's just more powerful and feels different when you have a controlled environment. And I was able to really um, have my own kind of like emotional release as an actor, which felt really good.
Mhm. Yeah. So across the board, it's powerful performances all around from everybody. There's no slouches.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, I'm always grateful to, we came back to New York. Uh, that's where the story takes place. And I was in LA 10 years prior. So it felt really good to pull from theater actors and, people that kind of just, they fit the part. So
Hmm.
it was really fun for me as a director to work with talent like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So domestic abuse is one of the key themes in the film and is ever-present subject, especially with the virus lockdowns over the last year and a half. What message do you want viewers to take away from the film?
For women, it's not your fault is definitely the biggest. And for men, I think, the important part of the story is like seeing the conditioning. And I think a lot of men don't want to necessarily become their fathers, but they just do. And I think seeing something on screen, that's the power of film and the media um, and the focus is really the positive aspects. I didn't want to feed into the stereotypes and stigmas with this film. I didn't have this representation when I was a kid, which is, besides it being my mother's story, it was a motivating factor that as a kid, I had these films that would dramatize and really showcase the abuse and the blood and the gore and the thriller aspects of it. And we included that, but in a really gentle way, because
Mhm.
the point for me was providing a tool, and we're proud partners of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So yeah, providing, my hope is that, especially for women, and this happens to men, of course, too. Um, Self-respect, self-love, and that it's not your fault.
Mm. And that there's help out there. Um,
Yes, definitely. We have a Get Help page right on donnathemovie.com. And we're partnering with domestic violence organizations worldwide at this point and setting up screenings and helping do fundraisers and providing clothing. We're really um, boots on the ground, whatever we can do beyond just providing the film.
mm. Good luck with all that. So, what is your preferred genre, and do you have any favorite films?
Um, I want to do a comedy next. It's been pretty heavy. I am doing. I do like true, based on true stories. That's really what the company is about, creating awareness for subjects deserving attention. Um, so I was definitely very much into doc series, documentary. Um, right now, I'm doing a documentary titled "Holding On to Hope," which is a cancer awareness documentary.
Okay.
And yeah, next, hopefully, a comedy down the road.
Okay. Yeah. Is so the hard hitting side of filmmaking with the subjects getting the word out there, is that something that you strive to do more of, and like having a sort of documentary style to some of the films that you do?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a thread for almost everything I've created, produced. Love Wins Productions, distribution, and film festival um, is about women's empowerment, diversity and inclusion, and LGBTQIA messages. So we have almost pretty much every subject covered at this point, and we are adamant about creating partnerships with nonprofits that already have a like-minded audience. So like for Worlds Apart, which is for trans rights, we just partnered with the LGBT Center in Hollywood. For Donna, Stronger Than Pretty, we're partners with the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. We have The Worst Day of My Life. That's a partnership with CAPS, which is a bullying awareness and prevention service, and that's specifically for teen and cyberbullying. So yeah, I mean, each project I definitely I think can be utilized as a PSA and tool.
Great. Yeah, it's rewarding. There's got to be a huge sense of responsibility though, for you as a filmmaker as well when you're tackling these subjects.
It is, but you know, that really ends up being the most rewarding part out of everything. When I get emails that someone was inspired or that they can relate, that means the world to me, and it keeps me going to know that like a film could save a life, or at least motivate somebody to move forward and to have a different perspective.
Cool. So you're a writer, director, producer, and actor. But are there any other aspects of the film industry that you'd like to pursue?
Not right now.
Not right now. You got a full plate.
Yeah. Yeah, this is quite a extensive job. So I'm actually just looking to focus more in the production company is kind of running itself right now in the film festival, and have a really great support system and team. So I'm hopping back into my own acting actually right now. So looking forward to just kind of exploring what's out there and just taking a little break.
Cool. Do you have any projects that you're waiting to get back to as an actor?
I'm going out for New Amsterdam today. So we'll see what happens. And just kind of like getting back to myself. I really spent the past 8 years doing so much for everybody else, and then my mom's sole caretaker. So I'm looking at the acting as it's always been my number one passion and outlet. So I'm hoping I can use it as like part of my grief process, I guess.
Okay. So who inspires you in the industry?
Well, this is an odd thing because Johnny Depp kind of had some heat around a domestic violence subject, but definitely Johnny Depp's career is something that is remarkable. And Heath Ledger, anyone. I really like the roles where you can dissect and tackle and really become someone else. That's the fun of it for me.
Absolutely. So with the popularity of streaming services like Netflix and Apple TV and Disney Plus, and then being the lifeblood basically for the last year and a half, what do you think the future of cinema is?
I think it's going to come back for sure. I mean, you can't deny the experience of seeing something in a theater. I think maybe it will look different. Maybe we'll see more pop-ups of. I know someone just bought the vintage theater, the Vista in Silver Lake. So, and I'm all for that. I don't know. Maybe down the line I'll have a little theater. It's definitely a good memory. My mom used to take us to the matinees for $2. So it's important, and I think it gives families an escape. And it's an important part of our culture.
Absolutely. So what are you hoping the audience will take away from Donna when they see it?
That's a loaded question. Empowerment, and my favorite line out of the film is "Women have to be stronger than pretty. You look like a warrior to me." So I'm just feeling empowered, and that that no matter how hard it is or how many obstacles you're facing, like, I think there's so many excuses to stay, and people, it's easier to stay in the pattern and the cycle. So um, my hope is that they walk away knowing that they're as powerful.
Has your family had a chance to see the film yet?
Yeah, everybody did. My dad didn't see. I don't know if he saw the full feature. He saw the short film, and he just said that was beautiful. What are the next steps? And I think for him, as he gets older, um, he recognizes and like has a heart, and he loves my mom, and so it's not like as black. It's not black and white. I think we cover a lot of the gray areas. And I think he recognizes that exposing this can really help others make different choices.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um,
And there's really no space for men. He didn't have, besides AA, there's nothing available. We're just starting that work for men to get together to talk about this. Talk about maybe what they saw at home.
yeah, yeah, because we're more educated these days than back then, in some degrees. So obviously, this is obviously based on true events. How much of the film is it like a 90-10 split between what's real and what's been like used for like, because obviously as a filmmaker your first job is to tell a story. So
Story, yeah. I mean, I wrote the heartbeat of it, and then Pat Branch, a co-writer from the WGA, took my mom's journals and pulled from there, and then had her and Pat and Kate had extensive conversations with my mom as well. So it really is like through and through, this is my mom's story. I walked away from larger deals that were the Hollywood version of this story because it's been done. I didn't need to give my mom a gun or, have her learn karate to find her strength. It really was the strength of her own mind and her own will that got me.
yeah, and that comes through in the film, definitely. So where can we find you online to keep up with everything you're doing?
So DonnaTheMovie.com has the Get Help page and all the links to where the film is streaming currently. LoveWinsProductions.net has our productions, distribution, and the film festival. We have a venue where we're reopened, thankfully, in 2022 if everything stays on track. And I'm just at Jaret Martino everywhere.
Awesome. And just finally, with the film out there now for everyone to see, what does the future hold for Donna?
Right now, we're creating more partnerships with smaller domestic violence agencies and doing screenings. And I just sent clothing over to a domestic violence agency. We have a clothing line. They needed support for people that are in the shelter. And just continuing the work, creating programs that are tools, donating the film when necessary to do fundraiser events. And I'd like to do the same worldwide. So we covered a lot of ground nationally here in the United States, and the whole point of the release overseas is that we can continue that work.
Great, and it's a worthy cause to get behind. So thank you so much for taking your time to speak to me today. It's been great, and congratulations with the film. I look forward to what you do next.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content next time.
Women gotta be stronger than pretty. You look like a warrior to me.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.